Hey there, mirthful multitudes. For today's adventure, we'll be visiting Gold Canyon and historic Donovan Cyanide Mill. We think we might have actually found a ghost, so keep watching. This site was built in 1861 during the mill building craze of the Comstock Lode era. The mill operated a steam-powered 10-stamp mill. In the late 1880s, the Comstock entered a period of decline and the Kelsey Mill was dismantled. In 1890, Gene B. Dezette, a Virginia City liquor dealer, and mining partners Felix Lacroix and Napoleon Lantry of Silver City built the Dezette Mill on the Kelsey Mill site. The mill did not depend on silver from the Comstock, but worked ore from gold mines in the area. By 1993, the partners, overwhelmed by legal fees and debts, leased the mill to a series of small operations. In 1895, Professor R.B. Jackson, director of the School of Mines at the University of Nevada, purchased the Dezette mine tailings and erected an experimental cyanide plant adjacent to the mill. The Jackson Cyanide Plant, Jackson, with his students and partner Dr. Phillips, perfected the MacArthur 4 cyanide process to successfully treat Comstock ore. This process changed milling methods and is still used in mining operations today. In 1912, William Donovan Sr. and his son William Donovan Jr. acquired and operated the plant. In the 1930s, the plant was expanded into a fully integrated cyanide milling operation. The Donovan family operated the plant for 47 years, up until 1959. For the next 50 years, the mill sat as a reminder of Nevada's great history, but also fell into ruin. In 2015, the Comstock Foundation for History and Culture acquired the Donovan Mill with the mission of preserving the mill's history for future generations. And it's put up by the Clampers. Yay, Clampers. These timbers appeared to be burned, but closer examination proved that they were soaked in creosote. Imagine what it would take to crush an ore cart like that. And what kind of a horse would have a shoe this big? They had some big draft horses back in those days. Maybe a big mule. Also that wheelbarrow straight out of 1910. We went all around the whole mill and looked in every door and every crack. And I just want to say right now that there was no way to get into the place. And then looking in every window and space that we could find, we never saw any evidence of any people. If anybody knows what this is, leave a comment below. I can usually figure out what things are by looking at them, but that one has me stumped. This is part of the refinery floor. They're restoring it. And here is a little tracked excavator. These were used all over the mines, and once they come in really handy. I wish I had one.
Tool belt on here is actually not that bad. It's cracked. Yep.
This is a blacksmith forge. This is the exterior part where they would load in the fuel and possibly light it with a torch. Here's some junk that's evidently left by someone recently. And here's an inside view, best we could get, of that brick kiln that we saw outside. Here's a pretty modern looking machine shop. The machine shop is also a blacksmith shop. There's another forge right there. Those crescent moons are on the walls all over the place here. Let me know in the comments if you know what that stands for. Could it be a company logo? Or maybe that's just a sign where the bathroom is, since it looks like an outhouse crescent moon. There's the bottom of that conveyor belt that Weasel was looking at earlier, that took all the ore over to the stamp mill on the other side from the crusher. And here is the crusher. Now we'll continue our tour of this suddenly creepy place. This is the camshaft for a 10-stamp mill. Worked pretty much like the camshaft in a car, but instead of the lifters lifting the valves, they lifted heavy metal stampers that would pulverize the ore into smaller pieces after it had been through the crusher, and then it's sent through to processing. It must have been really loud. This is what is known as a donkey engine. They were powered by steam and later by diesel. These wheels are what turned the belts that powered most of the machinery back in that day. They were used all over the country. So we'll take one last look at this place before we head out. There's our mini excavator. Wish I had one of those. Building was the latest addition to the mill. It was built in the early 50s, right before it closed down. This is a creek or a stream that runs right through the middle of this mill. Can you imagine the runoff from a cyanide mill? One of the most deadly poisons known to man. It takes a piece smaller than an aspirin to kill you in seconds. Yet they had huge vats with thousands of gallons of this stuff back in the days before people worried about runoff. Here's a better view of that blacksmith forge we saw at first. So I think that's about going to wrap it up. We'd love it if you could subscribe. We'll see you again in the next Adventures in Zone 420. Tell us what you think about that ghost in the comments. See you later.